It was December, a bright frozen day in the early morning. Far out in the country, there was an old Negro woman with her head tied in a rag, coming along a path through the pine woods. Her name was Phoenix Jackson. She was very old and small, and she walked slowly in the dark pine shadows, moving a little from side to side in her steps, with the balanced heaviness and lightness of a pendulum and a grandfather clock. She carried a thin, small cane made from an umbrella, and with this she kept tapping the frozen earth in front of her. This made a grave, persistent noises in the air that seemed meditative, like a chirping of a solitary little bird. Now and then there was quivering in the thicket. Old Phoenix said,
"Out of my way, all you foxes, owls, beetles, jackrabbits, coons, and wild animals. Keep out from under these feet, little bob whites. Keep the big wild hogs out of my path. Don't let none of those come right."
On she went. The woods were deep and still. The sun made the pine needles almost too bright to look at, up where the wind rocked. The cones dropped as light as feathers. Down in the hollow was the mourning dove. It was not too late for him. She passed through the old cotton and went into a field of dead corn. It whispered and shook and was taller than her head. Through the maze now, she said, for there was no path. Deep, deep, the road went down between the high green-colored banks. Overhead the live oaks met, and it was dark as a cave. A black dog with a long tongue came up out of the weeds by the ditch. She was meditating and not ready, and when he came at her, she only hit him a little with her cane. Over she went in the ditch like a little puff of milkweed. A white man finally came along and found her, a hunter, a young man with his dog and chain. He lifted her up, gave her a swing in the air, and set her down. The man came back, and his own dog panted about them. "Well, I scared him off that time," he said, and then he laughed and lifted his gun and pointed it at Phoenix. He smiled and shouldered the gun. "Well, Granny," he said, "you must be 100 years old and scared of nothing. I'd give you a dime if I had any money with me, but you take my advice and stay home and nothing will happen to you." She walked on. The shadows hung from the oak trees to the road like curtains. Then she smelled wood smoke, and smelled the river, and she saw a steeple and the cabins on the steep steps. Dozens of little black children whirled around her. There ahead was Notches shining. Bells were ringing. She walked on. She entered a door, and there she saw, nailed up on the wall, the document that had been stamped with the gold seal and framed in the gold frame, which matched the dream that was hung in her head. "Speak up, Grandma," the woman said. "What's your name? We must have your history, you know. Have you been here before? What seems to be the trouble with you?" "You mustn't take up our time this way, Aunt Phoenix," the nurse said. "Tell us quickly about your grandson and get it over. He isn't dead, is he?" At last there came a flicker and then a flame of comprehension across her face, and she spoke. "My grandson, it was my memory had left me. There I sat and forgot why I made my long trip." "Forgot?" the nurse frowned. "After you came so far?"
Old Phoenix held the bottle close to her eyes and then carefully put it into her pocket. "I thank you," she said. "It's Christmas time, Grandma," said the attendant. "Could I give you a few pennies out of my purse?" "5 pennies is a nickel," said Phoenix stiffly. "Here's a nickel," said the attendant. Phoenix rose carefully and held out her hand. She received the nickel and then fished the other nickel out of her pocket and laid it beside the new one. She stared at her palm closely, with her head on one side.
"This is what come to me to do," she said. "I go into the store and buy my child a little windmill they sells, made out of paper." She lifted her free hand, gave a little nod, turned around, and walked out of the doctor's office. Then her slow step began on the stairs going down.